Hello everyone and welcome to week 9 of Health 402. We are almost at the end of the quarter. This week we are going to be covering qualitative data analysis. We've talked about qualitative data a little bit in this class, and so we're going to continue covering qualitative data, but we're really going to focus on how you actually analyze data from a qualitative study. This week, make sure to complete the module and read chapter 16 of your textbook. You also have your discussion posts that are due, with your initial post due on Thursday and your reply by Sunday. Please complete quiz number 9 and make sure to complete the module and the reading before you sit down to take that quiz. We also have lab this week. You're going to get to practice actually analyzing qualitative data. It's a pretty fun lab, so you'll actually get to practice doing that. And then don't forget, your research proposal is due December 10th. That is coming up. So please make sure you're working on that. You're reviewing the feedback from your discussion posts. And if you have any questions, please feel free to come by my office hours. So your module this week is going to go over the steps of preparing your data and analyzing data for a qualitative study. So it's going to go over preparing the data for coding, how to develop a code book, pilot coding, changing codes as needed. You're going to learn about that. You're going to learn about the coded data and creating themes. This is pretty much what we call a thematic analysis, which is one way that you can analyze qualitative data, and it's a really common way that a common strategy that we use in public health. For your discussion post this week, it's going to focus on two parts. The first part is going to focus on your strength and limitation of your research proposal, and then the other one is going to give you a scenario on a qualitative study. So let's get started with the initial post, which is due on Thursday. Question 1 asks, based on your research proposal, what is one limitation and one strength to your proposed research plan? Please make sure to explain your answer. When you're thinking about a limitation or a strength, please make sure that you're not providing just general statements. It really needs to be tied back to your specific research plan. Make sure that it makes sense. Don't just say general limitations to one of the approaches you're taking. So for example, maybe you're conducting a cross-sectional study and you're looking at what demographics are associated with flu vaccine uptake. You can't tell me that a limitation of your study is that your study is cross-sectional and so you can't establish temporality. It would be really difficult to study that in the real world and establish a temporal relationship in terms of demographics and vaccine uptake. So think about that limitation in the sense that you're looking at demographics. That's your main independent variable, and maybe you aren't measuring all the demographics. Maybe you're limited in terms of what demographics you're measuring, and there's other ones that maybe you're not accounting for. And maybe you're doing a convenience sample, and given that you're looking at demographics, using a convenience sample means that we might have kind of a biased sample, and we might not get all of the demographics that we're hoping to get because we're just taking a convenience sample. That would be a really specific example of a limitation in that given scenario. You also need to identify a strength as well. So please make sure that you clearly state and explain one strength and one limitation for your proposed research plan. The second question for your initial post is based on this scenario. So a qualitative study was conducted with 100 undergraduate students at Cal Poly. The one-on-one semi-structured interviews focused on asking students about personal strategies that they use for stress management and what resources they had access to for stress management. A student research assistant conducted the interviews in person on campus, and during the interviews, another student took notes on the interview. Each interview was audio recorded. You've been hired to analyze the data. So you need to think about what steps would you take to analyze the data? Please don't just list, like bullet point list the steps in analyzing qualitative data from your module. You will not get points for your discussion post if you do that. You need to identify the steps and incorporate the prompt into your answer and describe those steps. In the second part of this, you need to think about how you can ensure reliability of the data and analysis process. And so you have to specifically provide an example of one strategy for ensuring reliability. I recommend that you go back to your textbook to think about this. Your textbook is a really great resource. And then by Sunday, you need to reply to one classmate's post based on your classmate's answer. I want you to think about if you have any suggestions or comments about their limitation or strength. Maybe they need to clarify something a little bit more, but make sure to be respectful in your reply. And then the second question in this reply post, I want you to review your classmate's plan for analyzing and ensuring the reliability of the data analysis process for the provided prompt, and identify a similarity or a difference in your response. So that's the plan for this week. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop by my office hours or send me an email. Have a great week.